Lincoln Riley's head coaching career starts off with a blowout. I'm Ryan Aber from NewsOK.com here at Owen Field, where Oklahoma blew out UTEP 56-7 on Saturday afternoon. And Brooke, the thing that stands out to me at first when you look at the stat sheet is how many receivers Baker Mayfield found on the day. A lot of guys got involved in the offense really early.
Yeah, no kidding. I think OU ended up with 11 or 12 people with catches, kind of answering the question here of who's going to step up to fill in for TD Westbrook with him gone to the NFL. And I think OU threw out a bunch of different options there. They're kind of doing a playmaker by committee type deal, but I mean, you have Abdul Adams in the running back game getting involved early, both catching and receiving. Both catching and rushing. Like you said, there were a lot of guys that did get involved really early.
Absolutely, but Baker Mayfield was the key to all of it. He was 19 of 20 in the first half. Didn't play in the second half, but 19 of 20, 329 yards, 3 touchdowns, extremely efficient. Now, there were some catches that the wide receivers had to go up and make, especially Jeff Badet. Right down here had a fantastic 51-yard catch that he had to adjust to an underthrow and come up and tip it up into his hands and make the catch. But Baker Mayfield was every bit as good as we've seen him the last few years.
Yeah, and along with Jeff Badet making that catch, CeeDee Lamb also had a catch. He got hit right afterwards, held on to the ball. There's another one with Grant Calcaterra where Baker Mayfield just threw it into the end zone and Calcaterra kind of went back and got it. A lot of big plays there from a bunch of different guys and a lot of new guys that we haven't seen before. At one point, I think there were 6 or 7 guys who scored touchdowns, their first career touchdown, some of them like Dimitri Flowers, who's been on this team for quite a while but hadn't gotten in the end zone until today.
And then we saw a couple walk-ons score. We saw Jackson Ewells, a former walk-on, actually got a scholarship about a week ago. He was able to find the end zone. Lee Morris with a big reception from his high school teammate, Kyler Murray, who played most of the second half. But, Brooke, let's move to the defensive side. Looked rough early. The first drive, UTEP comes out and scores, moved methodically down the field. But after that, the next possession, OU set a quick tone with a couple big Stephen Parker plays, and then everything started falling into place.
Yeah, you really saw in the second half, too, especially OU really started to settle in. Ogboonia Okoronkwo had his first sack of the season. You saw some big plays by the DBs getting tackles. You saw Kenneth Murray, the linebacker, true freshman middle linebacker who started this game, settle in after that first drive. You also saw some guys like Matt Romar had kind of a rough outing. Looked like he got injured early, had to come off the field. When he came back in, he gets 2 penalties at different points in the game. Looks like he kind of needed to settle in a little bit, which isn't exactly what you expect from a veteran coming back, returning starter, but that's something that OU's really going to have to address. I mean, I think almost all but one of OU's penalties came on the defensive side of the ball, and that's something that they're going to have to fix before they go to Ohio State.
Yeah, and I thought that Kenneth Murray settling in and the middle linebacker spot was really key for this defense, the way that they played after that first drive. It was rough early for Kenneth Murray, the young freshman middle linebacker, but he was able to get better as the game went on. Those breakdowns became less and less often, and things got a whole lot better on the defensive side. But let's hear what OU players and coaches had to say after the win.
Thought it took us a little bit to settle in, especially defensively there on the first drive. But after that, was really proud of how our kids responded, and it really was a complete effort. Offensively moved the ball well, the majority of the day. We didn't get the 1 4th down, which was probably the biggest disappointment, but thought we did a good job at the line of scrimmage, did a good job handling some of their pressure that they started to come at us with as the game went on. You guys have heard me say it a million times in the last couple months, that's been a huge focus point for us, is getting him settled in with those guys. And you can't get settled in with them if you don't trust them. And you've got to give them chances. And Baker did that today. He gave those guys chances. He trusted them, and those guys, their confidence is going to grow. Baker's confidence in them is going to grow, and that'll be, obviously a good thing for us. It still doesn't feel that much different. I mean, it feels like another fun first game, and I'll probably remember the young guys that stepped up and played well. And now, again, this probably the whole situation from June the 7th up until the day. The thing I'll remember the most is how our team and our staff have responded to all this change, and so today was a little bit of a culmination of that for me.
What was the post-game celebration like? Was it heavy on, congrats, coach, on your first win, that kind of sentiment?
It was heavy on that. We had a bunch of different guys score their first touchdowns, a bunch of guys out there that competed today, and I feel like we celebrated everybody.
The one sack on the fourth down is all on me. Got to get the ball to my hands. It's going to give me nightmares about that one. And, fourth down, you got to give your receivers a chance. So they played great when I was in, and so we still have room to improve. So we got to run the ball better. I think a lot of that has to do with tempo. We need to get lined up faster, but that comes with being the first game of the season. So they played well. Pass protection was great, but I think we can run the ball a little bit better.
Yeah, I think Baker went something like 19 for 20, and anytime your quarterback does that type of numbers, it's your receivers are catching the ball, he's making the right reads, and then our running backs did their thing today as well.
You had a career high in receiving say to start off the season. Look at that as a sign of things to come this season?
We'll see. It was definitely a good game, and made some good catches and good plays, but I just got to stay consistent and carry that through the season.
Coach Riley said there was one point where he forgot he was the guy that had to decline the penalty or not. Were you there for that? Did you see it?
No, I didn't. But I'm sure that was a little bit weird for him.
Did you like being out there for the first time in a couple of years?
It was a little weird. It was just like. It was like I've been out there, 2 days ago. It didn't feel like I hadn't been out there in 2 years. So I was comfortable. The guys were behind me. Everybody played good, line blocked good. Receivers did their job, and running backs ran the ball. So it was all good. I think we've been preaching it all camp. Coach Ryan's been preaching starting fast, and I think that's what we try to come out here and do. Obviously, last year and the year before that, I think it's taken a loss to get us going, and we didn't want to come out here and disappoint. We want to come out here and start fast, and the guys. We're really ready to, play another team. Obviously, all camp has been a grind. It was real competitive, so everybody was ready to get it going against another team. So it was good.
It was a lot of us in that drive. We were a little bit antsy and out of sorts. Guys were trying to do too much. I think we were too excited. We didn't play very fundamental football during that first drive, and that's what happens. We got out of position on some blitzes, lost contain on a blitz. Didn't cover the right guys. We were just kind of out of sorts there, and finally settled down and started playing a little better, but nothing. Schematically, we went in with a very limited plan and didn't try to do a whole lot, and just go out and execute and play fundamental football.
Yeah, we saw a lot. We got a lot of young guys in there. They got a lot of snaps. I felt like everybody got their feet wet today. It was good for us going into next week.
How good did it feel to get out there and play as well as you did in your debut?
It felt good. Like I said, y'all brought here to make plays, and I was just trying to make, I'm just trying to take advantage of it. It felt good.
How about your quarterback? I know he kind of recruited you to come out here, and then he goes 19 for 20 first game.
Man, I'm a huge fan of Baker, man. That's my guy. He played really well. Just like I said, we got to continue playing well and stay consistent.
Next up now, a trip to Ohio State. When I say that, what goes through your head?
Big game, man. It's a big game. If you really want to be known and want to play at the next level, this is a game that you get excited for. So that's all I can say about that.
So now the Sooners hit the road for the game I think everybody's been waiting for the last year. They'll travel to Columbus, Ohio, where they'll face Ohio State next week at 6:30 local time or Central Time in a massive game for not only Oklahoma but for the Big 12. Brooke, what are some of the things that we saw today maybe that you see carrying over into next Saturday against Ohio State after what we saw here last year with these two teams?
Well, I think what OU has to like this year is that they have momentum going into this game. Last year they did have a game that they won in between the Houston loss and playing Ohio State, but this year they're getting that benefit of winning and winning big in their season opener to go into Ohio State. They also have, like we've said, a lot of different playmakers and running backs, wide receivers. Then you're going to see that carry over, especially you're also going to see the play of the offensive line carry over, and of course, like you said, momentum and the emotional just desire of wanting to beat Ohio State after what happened last year.
Yeah, so that'll be a big one again next Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Central, Oklahoma and Ohio State. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can check our stuff out every day at NewsOK.com and every morning in the Oklahoman for the best OU coverage anywhere.